Welcome to a brand new edition of Local Focus. Excited for my guest today. I know it's the middle of hoop season. You can log on to provinetworks.com, check out the schedule of games this week, but a little bit of chance to look back on one of the more spectacular prep careers that I've had the privilege to cover in New Mexico. The now two-time Gatorade Player of the Year, Cam Dyer, is in studio. First of all, how did that sound? Two-time.
It sounds good. And, it's still sinking in a little bit. But it's crazy to think about, just my journey getting here. But it definitely feels good for sure.
First of all, before we get started, I want to say a couple things. One, for those people that don't know, you're graduating early. You're going to get to ASU right away. So for you to make time to do this on your way out of town and all that through the holidays, that especially after a game that ended not the way you probably wanted it to, it says a lot about the kind of character you have and about the kind of kid you are and the kind of dude you are. So I appreciate that a lot. And secondly, to be able to, I was just thinking about this on the way over here, to be able to be behind the mic for so many of your great accomplishments and your journey there, I don't ever take that for granted. It's been pretty cool. So I wanted to point that out and thank you for that.
No, I appreciate it.
But, man, there's so much to get to with you. I want to talk a lot about recruiting, right? We're going to get all the way to those colors, obviously, right?
Yep.
But that's a journey that kind of started and, well, let's see. You were here a couple seasons ago, so let's rewind a little bit to the junior year where things just got crazy in a hurry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk about that.
Yeah, I think everything happened the way that, I needed it to happen at the right time. I just kept working. It's hard because everyone wants those offers. Everyone's working towards that. I remember having the conversation with my parents and my coaches, just, wondering if I'll ever even receive an offer. And I just remember working and just waiting for it to happen, really. And it all happened at the right time. And, after we won state, that was when things really started to kick off for me. And the other two, Mark and Mason. So, I'm just very blessed. I'm very blessed to be in the position I'm in. And I'm thankful, for my journey.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because it was kind of like very much a floodgate scenario, right? Like, were you discouraged at first when they weren't coming rapid fire, but then it just exploded? But let's go back a little bit before they started coming rapid fire. Were you starting to get discouraged a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I was just thinking so much about just playing at the next level and my future and everything. And so it's easy to get wrapped up in when you're gonna be able to get the opportunity to continue your career and everything. And so I just remember just going through the season and just working as hard as I can and, trying to prove out on the field that, I should be able to play at the next level and why I should be. So, I remember things happening for Mason first and all the coaches calling and all that stuff. And I just remember thinking like, I want that to happen for me so bad. And so, I just kept working and just kept doing what I had to do.
That has to be, well, one, you're incredibly happy for one of your brothers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But then two, you're like, man, like when is this phone going to start for me, right?
Right.
But then talk about when it did, right? Like the floodgate. Well, first of all, let's go backtrack a little bit. At the end of that year, the previous year, when you hit the lab in the off season, what was your top goals and priorities to get better? What were your top goals?
Just to get better throwing the ball. I feel like a lot of people have always had doubts about me throwing the ball. I feel like everybody knows I can use my legs to do whatever. So just to get better throwing the ball and make improvements. I trained with several guys, Jordan Bird. I trained with all my teammates. Just some other guys just out in the community, other guys who are trying to accomplish the same things that I am. And so, I just remember throwing the ball every day and just trying to get better at throwing, stuff with my footwork, stuff with just getting the ball out quicker and more fluid and stuff like that. So I just remember that being one of the top things. And the other thing is just like the off the field kind of like being more of a leader because, as a quarterback, you got to be the leader of the whole team. And, accepting that role and filling in that role from, Aiden. He was the guy there before me, and then me having to come in and, take on that role and make it what I made it. It was a little bit of an adjustment.
All right. Now, fast forward to when all these offers start coming in. What's the first one everyone always remembers the first one, right? So what's the first kind of D1 offer that came in where you're like, all right, it's starting, hopefully?
Yeah, it was Texas Tech. I'll never forget. So I was on the Clovis basketball trip, and we were out there playing, and I woke up, like, for some reason I just, like, woke up. Like, I don't know why. Like, something just told me to wake up, and it was, like, 6:30 in the morning. And I remember one of the recruiters calling me, and he was just like, hey, we want you to get your parents on the phone. And my parents were in the hotel, a different hotel room because they're out there at Clovis too. And so I called my mom up. I'm like, hey, the Texas Tech coach is on the phone. Like, I'm gonna merge the calls and everything. And so then I remember him telling me, he's like, hey, we're gonna offer your son, or that's what he told my mom. He's like, hey, we're gonna offer your son. And I just remember like, I was just so happy. Like I almost, was crying happy tears and stuff because I was just so happy. I worked for that moment. So
Yeah.
when it finally came, it was crazy. It was surreal.
I bet you had some balance in your step that day.
Oh,
Huh?
for sure.
I
for
feel
sure.
bad for whoever you were playing
Oh,
in Clovis
for
that
sure.
day.
Yeah, no, I was going crazy in warm-ups, dunking and everything. I was so happy. So
That adrenaline's real, right?
oh, yeah, for sure.
And then were you kind of hoping like, okay, this should open the floodgates? And then,
Yeah, I think that's when I like kind of knew that more would come for sure.
so then, I mean, just kind of take us through the timeline of just, obviously we'd have to be here for 3 hours to talk about all of them, but just some of the ones that really stood out to you and how they came in what order and things like that.
Yeah, so like I said, Texas Tech was my first one, my first Power Five, and then shortly after UTEP called, UNM, New Mexico State, and then from there it kind of started kicking off. And then I remember in basketball practice, I'll never forget, Utah called me like right before, and then that's when they offered me at safety. And then during basketball practice, I got like 3 calls from Arizona State, and I didn't know until I got out of practice. And then so I called him back, and I remember Coach Dillingham just getting on the FaceTime. He was like, look, like, I don't know what we're going to recruit you as. We just watched your film, and all the coaches are blown away. So I just remember those, like, kind of being my, like, main, like, rememberable offers. And, yeah, like I said, I'm just very blessed.
All right. Let's pick apart a couple of those if you don't mind. First, I guess we have to touch on the local one, right? Like, I'm always baffled. To me, the Lobos, they really, really wrong some of our kids. Like, for me, this is just a personal opinion, not a pro view opinion. This is my opinion. But when they don't come out and offer first, that really pisses me off.
Yeah.
Like, it really pisses me off because I know for a fact, talking to some coaches in basketball, if a local school doesn't offer, then other schools start asking, well, why is his hometown school not offering? Right. So it really pisses me off when Lobos don't come super early to the party for guys like you. Even if they know in the end, hey, we're probably not going to get Cam. I think they owe it to local kids. Like, they should be first. They should offer immediately. So with that being said, I would imagine UNM was never a serious thought, right?
I mean, when Coach Mendenhall came in, he said one of the first things he did was look at my film and decided that he wanted to recruit me. Obviously, things happen so fast over there. I don't really have any ill will towards him. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I just work hard and hopefully hope for those things to come. So, I mean, honestly,
but it is a little backwards, isn't it? When a big D1 school offers first, and then your hometown comes in and tries to offer. It should go the other way, shouldn't it?
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's usually how it goes in other places.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know who you're talking to, which coach, but I've heard that as well. Like, some schools start to wonder, like, why is their hometown not offering this kid? Like, do they know something we don't know? Right. And stuff like that. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm just thankful. But
New Mexico State, I mean, there had to be a thought just because of your family's pedigree there, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought about it. I mean, continuing on my dad, my brother's legacy. But once my brother decided he was going to leave, then, I mean, that was kind of the end of that. Because, I mean, if I wanted to go anywhere, then it would be to play with my brother. So all of that died down once he left.
Right. So then let's talk about the big dogs then, right? So then you have Texas Tech, Arizona State comes into that equation. What what's going through your mind at that point when there's several big players now in the picture?
Yeah, I mean, it's surreal. I mean, you just dream of those moments, really. And the first thing I wanted to do was go out and visit these schools, see what they have to offer and go see their facilities and go talk to the coaches in person and stuff like that. I did all that. And, once I was able to do that, I guess it helped my process out because I was able to see what I wanted and see what programs, you could see it up close and see like what they really are talking about, and not just over the phone, but like you could see it. So I mean, once that happened, once I went out and visited them like unofficially and stuff like that, I was able to like narrow my list down a little bit.
What about now? A lot of these schools, obviously, you talked about coming in recruiting you at safety, whatnot. So not a lot of these schools not recruiting you at quarterback per se. was that discouraging?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to play quarterback like in high school or in college at the next level. So once I was hearing, receiver, safety, other positions, I wouldn't say it was discouraging. It was just, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I wanted to explore it. I didn't want to push anything away, any opportunity away. I mean, me and my family, we had a lot of conversations about me moving positions. And I originally committed to play a different position. I mean,
So when did you kind of take that mindset, like, just get me on the field, I'll show you
yeah,
like I always do? When
yeah.
did you start to get that mindset?
I mean, really, just ever since I was younger,
Right.
I've always just had that mindset. I feel like there's a lot of people that don't want to see success happen. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And so once I started having early on success, a lot of people didn't like that. And so I've always been the type to go get what I want and what I need, and just prove people wrong and prove myself right.
What about, last thing on that, if all things were equal, let's say to a bunch of D1 schools, when people started to ask me, well, where do you think Cameron's going to go? You're the Cueva guy. Well, I don't know why people say that. First of all, I don't know. I don't like it when people say that. But, too, I'm like, I don't know. But I think the one thing I always kind of, in my mind, I thought, well, the school that's going to give them an opportunity to fulfill a dream and play quarterback, I would think that would be the one you'd lean towards. So if all things were equal from a bunch of D1 schools and one of them say, hey, we're going to give you a crack at this position, would they have stolen your heart, I guess, for lack of a better expression?
Yeah, I mean, there was really all the smaller schools that
Right.
offered me, the non-power fives. All of them recruited me as a quarterback.
Right.
So it was weird. I mean, my process was weird. I was being recruited at 3 different positions, different levels of football. So it was just weird. I mean, I like I said, I always wanted to play quarterback. So those smaller schools, I mean, they definitely were still I definitely still thought about it because I wanted to fulfill that dream, like you said.
Right. All right, we'll take a quick timeout with Cam. When we come back, talk about the actual decision, when it was Arizona State time. We'll get to that when we return.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Bluebell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
I'm a Blaze King customer, and I have been for the last 10 years. Blaze King stoves are very efficient. They're easy to maintain, and they use a lot less wood than you would typically use with a fireplace.
Blaze King, that's a fire.
The heat is on when it's a Blaze King wood stove, controlling heat up to 40 hours on a single load of wood with a built-in thermostat. See for yourself at either Blaze King showroom, Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Blaze King, and now that's a fire.
Back with the now 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year, Cam Dyer. All right, we're talking about the offers. First, one thing I want to finish about that. Visits. Where did you take some visits to?
I went to UNM, New Mexico State, UTEP, Utah State, Arizona State. I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you mentioned those places,
Yeah.
it's kind of not a surprise that you would pick Tempe, right? I mean,
Right.
when compared to those other spots.
Oh,
But all right, so tell us about that decision. What were the final, 2-3 places? How did you come up on Arizona State?
Yeah, so interesting enough, Houston kind of came on the scene later. They offered me in May, and they offered me at quarterback. So that was technically like my first Power 5 offer as a quarterback. But another kid committed, and, that's just the nature of it. So, that kind of, I moved on from that offer. But then I took my visit out to Arizona State in early June, and that's just kind of what I knew. I mean, once I got out to Tempe, the play speaks for itself. And so, and just the coaches, I mean, Coach Hines Ward being there, Coach Dillingham, Coach Arroyo, Coach Regal. I mean, Coach Regal, who's the assistant coach, special teams head coach and stuff like that, he came out to see me, I think, in April or something like that. And he sat down and talked to my family. He was real cool. And stuff like that. So all that was a big deal. I mean, my relationship with the coaches, and then, like I said, Tempe just speaks for itself.
Yeah. And you mentioned Hines Ward a little bit. I mean, it has to hit a little different, too. Obviously, for a guy like you who wants to play quarterback, but it has to hit a little different when a Hines Ward says, hey, we want to recruit you at this position versus just some random guy, right? That has to hit a little different.
Yeah, I mean, he's done everything that everybody wants to do who picks up a football. So just to hear him say that and say that, he would turn me into NFL talent and things like that, that's when I really bought in. Because I could see, my family really bought in with that too. Because like I said, I mean, hearing it from him, it hits different. So.
All right. Now, I want to know what you were doing, where you were when you got the call, hey, we want you in the quarterback's room.
So actually, Coach Dillingham came out to see me play against Santa Fe in Week 9, and I just remember him telling me in warm-ups, I was just like stretching, and he just came over all energetic. He was like, "You're playing quarterback this spring, like that's what we're doing." And so I was like, okay, like I was all happy.
Come on,
so.
Wait a minute, okay. And then you went on with your thing.
No, I was happy, but I was locked in the game. Like I was really happy though. I mean, it was definitely like a big deal to me. And then right after the game, he called me. And, we chopped it up for a bit and stuff, and that was when I was really happy. I was able to digest it and everything. So I was happy though. I was really happy.
Who's the first person you told, right? Like you're on the field when he tells you, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
And I know you have a very set pregame routine.
Yeah.
So who'd you tell first?
I think it was Coach Back. I think Coach Back, I was walking this way, or not walking, stretching this way, and then I came back. Coach Back usually stands in the middle of the end zone, and so that's what I told him. I was like, hey, Coach Dillingham just said I'm into the quarterback room, and he was like, let's go. He was fired up too. So,
right.
Yeah.
So like you said, you're gonna play quarterback in the spring. So that means you're going to get there early. So, I mean, it's just before Christmas now as we're recording this. So what a whirlwind to the end of your high school career, right?
Yeah.
The season finishes, now is the award after award after award, right? Gatorade Player of the Year again, all those other Player of the Year awards. But what's next now? What does the timetable look like for you in the next, say, 45 days?
Yeah, really just to work my butt off. I mean, I'm coming off a little bit of a knee injury, so I'm just trying to rehab that, get back to normal, to 100%, and really just get ready for the next step. I mean, I'm like I was telling you, I'm already getting, training on a training regimen and stuff like that. Just trying to get my body right, trying to get my skills right before I head out to Tempe.
I know, obviously, you still have so many goals in front of you, but as now your time at La Cueva is coming to a close, how do you look back on that time as a Bear and your legacy on that campus and everything you've been able to accomplish as a student and a student athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful. I feel like my time at La Cueva has just been great. I mean, it flew by. You never think it's going to come to an end when you're a freshman. And then now, since I'm here, I'm about to graduate in 2 weeks. It's just crazy to think about all the moments that's happened ever since I went there, from playing all 3 levels as a freshman to transitioning to, playing 3 different positions as a sophomore, to transitioning to being the guy as a junior, and then, being the guy again as a senior, even more so. It's crazy. I'm thankful. I'm blessed. I wouldn't have been able to do it, all my coaches and my teammates. So I'm just thankful. I mean, yeah, just look back at it. It's crazy.
Leaving behind an incredibly large fan club and fan base and fanfare, right? I think it's kind of, I was thinking about this a little bit when I saw you pregame. I don't remember which game it was. So during my entire time at ProView Networks, I've now seen 3 athletes in high school kind of signing, whether it be a pregame autograph or going to talk to kids before a game. J.B. White, Kenyon, and you, right?
Yeah.
That's when you have officially hit high school superstar status, right, in the state of New Mexico. You got little kids coming up to you before games.
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. I remember being in their position, looking up to high school athletes, Zach Gentry, a whole bunch of guys, just remember just watching the games and stuff. So to have that feeling is great. I mean, I'm just, like I said, I'm just thankful. I mean, I put in the work for it. I'm going to continue to put in the work for it. And, I just see where this thing goes.
Right. And the other thing, too, I mean, and I don't know how you can speak to this or comment on it, but, obviously Coach Back always wants to talk about, forget Cam, the football player. He's this great student athlete. He's this great kid, right? And I will attest to that. I have never, throughout the 3 years I've known you, or 4 years now, I've never ran into someone that has had a bad thing to say about you, ever. And that's rare.
Yeah.
Like, there's always that one, right?
Right,
That's
yeah.
like, oh, you should see what he does this, you should see this. Or, oh, he's kind of arrogant, or this, right? But like, it's never happened, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're leaving behind a fan base here in New Mexico that really loves you. But, talk about how important that has been to you. Obviously, it speaks a lot to how you were raised.
Oh,
so
yeah, for
kudos
sure.
to your parents. But just the way the community kind of embraces you.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, my parents, I mean, they raised us a little strict. They wouldn't say so, but they're a little strict on us, but rightfully so. I mean, I feel like the way we were raised is the reason why we're all three of, me, my brother, and my sister are the way we are now. And so, I mean, yeah, like you said, kudos to them, because without them, I don't know what I would be doing, where I would be at. Yeah, I mean, it's special to me. I mean, just to think about, the community and how everybody supported me. When I post things on Twitter, how everyone's like, you got all of New Mexico behind you. And I mean, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel special. It makes me feel like I can accomplish anything. And, who would have thought? I mean, nobody thinks that kids from here deserve the opportunity that other kids do. So just to get the opportunity, just to be able to capitalize off of it, it means a lot to me.
All right, in the brief time we have left, how bad was that knee in the title game?
I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I felt good in warm-ups. I'm telling myself, don't think about it. I'm 100%. I'm telling myself that. But when I got out there, it just didn't feel the same. I mean, I couldn't really cut. I couldn't really do everything that I normally do, break off the 60, 70 yarders like I would have hoped so. So, it is what it is. I mean, Cleveland came in with a good game plan. They came in ready to play. They were hungry from the last season. So, I mean, kudos to them. I mean, they came in ready to play. So, it sucks, but, I mean,
What was that?
first
of all, what was that week like? I mean, when you were
Yeah.
when it was, I mean, again, during the week, I get these phone calls like somehow I'm in the know. Well, you're in the Cueva. Oh, is Cam going to play? I was like, they would have to amputate his leg for him not to play. So, yeah, he'll play, but that doesn't mean anything, right? Like,
Right.
it's how healthy is the kid.
Yeah.
But so what was that week like?
Yeah, it was Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I didn't practice. Like, I suited up and threw the ball a little bit, but I didn't really do too much. And then Thursday I was full go, and I felt pretty good. And then Friday was just walkthrough. So I really only practiced those last 2 days. And my coaches, they were very adamant on making sure that I'm all right and stuff like that. And
But at that point, you got a future to think of too, right?
yeah, and I mean that was the big deal. I mean, once I actually got an MRI on I think that Tuesday, and so I made sure nothing was torn and nothing was structurally damaged. And then once I got the green line on that, then it was just about dealing with the pain from that. So I mean, like I said, I try not to think about it, but I mean, I knew it was there, and it did affect me a little bit. But
I mean, we're doing your sister's basketball game on the Tuesday of that week.
yeah.
And every text message I get during the game is, "Hey, is Cam at the game? How's he walking?" I'm like, "Come on, man! Like, he's here. He
Yeah.
looks fine. I don't know what to tell you.
That's crazy.
But when you get back to the game, yeah, you talked about those big, not being able to break off some bigger plays. But I mean, it looked like it was affecting you. Just you didn't look right.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
so it had to have been affecting everything, right?
Yeah,
The
it
throwing
did.
game, everything. I mean, and then how much are you thinking about it? You had to have been pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember, like I said, I try not to think about it, and I was just playing, but I couldn't really push off my back foot as much because that was the leg that I got injured, my right leg. And so I remember coming to the sideline I think it was right before we scored, and Coach Back was like, push off, make sure you overemphasize pushing off your leg because, you're not really pushing off of it. And so that's kind of when I thought, yeah, I'm definitely not okay. And so, I mean, I tried my hardest. I left it all out there, and that's all I can ask for. I mean, like I said, kudos to Cleveland, but it
says
is
a
what it
lot
is.
too, right? I mean, because
Yeah.
you see, you look at college guys skipping out on bowl games,
Right.
things like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of your teammates that are, there's a good handful of players that are going to be playing at the next level on your team, right? But there's also seniors on that team that's their last football game
Right.
ever.
Right.
So I'm sure you had to feel a little bit of a burden there too, right? Like you're
Yeah.
out there for all these guys.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, I was just playing for them at that point, playing for my family. Just I was gonna leave it all out there. I mean, I don't think there was any way I wasn't gonna play that game unless something was like severely wrong with my knee. If it was just pain, I was gonna play through it. I mean, and that's always been my mindset. It sucks because I know that other people don't get the opportunity that I've been given. So, just to take all that into consideration, I was just gonna leave it all out there.
Right. Well, okay, top 5 list. We've done a top 5 list of things we
Yeah.
don't know about you, so we can't go back to that well, right? I feel like, okay, we grew up with Cam Dyer, it feels
Right.
like, right? So I'm going to change it up on you a little bit to
Okay.
end the show. Top 5 things you're going to miss about New Mexico.
Ooh, the green chili, red chili,
Green
for
chili,
sure.
red chili. All right, that's 5 and 4. All
Okay.
right.
As much as I hate to say it, I was kind of thinking about it, but I think I'm gonna miss the cold a little bit,
Little bit?
just a little bit.
Yeah,
Like
when it's 120
when it's
in Tempe, you're
when
going
it's
to miss
like
it.
that, when it's like that all the time, it's just like I'm gonna miss it just a
All
little
right,
bit.
the climate. All right,
The
that's a
climate
good
just
one.
a little bit. How small it is. I feel like it's small enough, but kind of big enough, and it's kind of nice because everybody kind of knows each other. So I guess I'll miss that aspect of it because
Right.
like you go out in the community and people know you and stuff like that. So that's nice. I'm gonna
All
miss
right.
that.
One more thing you're going to miss about New Mexico.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe just La Cueva. I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, I mean, that's
The
a brotherhood,
school.
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss that. Yeah, I'm miss the school for sure.
All right, well, that's a very good list. Red chili, green chili, the climate, the sense of community, and the La Cueva Bears. Well, Cam, thank you again so much for coming in. Congratulations on back-to-back Gatorade Player of the Year awards, and we'll hopefully be watching on Saturdays and Sundays, man. Good
Yes,
luck.
sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching, everybody, and good night.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. Our law firm was founded by my father, Thibaut J. Chavez, with one goal: to get New Mexicans the help they need. That's why we built a different kind of law firm. We focus on family values, dedicated service, and we make a real contribution by giving back to our communities. We can't change what happened to you or your loved ones, but we can help you get back on the road to recovery. We're by your side, and we're still as local as red and green.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out concert to 30,000 people. The day he gave his infamous speech. That's why you believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect their memorabilia. All in autographs, where you can meet some of the greats, collect some of the greats, and share your own legacy. Visit All In Autographs, where you can celebrate the great and have your own piece of history.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a